Hi all, my name is Anna Charles. I'm a life coach. I help people achieve full freedom around alcohol and food. Now, I get a lot of questions on willpower, so I thought that would be a great topic for today's short video. On the video, I'm going to talk about what willpower is, when to use it, it's a super skill in certain circumstances, when not to rely on willpower, and what to use instead. So first, what is willpower? Well, many definitions, but the one that resonates the most for me is the ability to delay gratification, resisting short-term temptations in favour of long-term goals. And we get that intellectually, right? I want the wine, but I feel great the next day when I don't have the hangover. I want to eat the cookies at the party, but I don't want the extra pounds tomorrow. So the case for willpower seems compelling. An ability to override unwilling thoughts, feelings or impulses in the moment when you're feeling a certain way. And we're going to all have evidence that it works. You'll have evidence where you were able to talk yourself out of doing something, maybe talk yourself out of eating that slice of cake, from drinking the wine, and you may have in fact done it again and again. You may have proven to yourself that this willpower approach works, and it sure can. In the short term, and that's the important piece, because it takes huge effort. It requires conscious, effortful regulation of the self for the self. Basically, it requires effort for you to control you. And with drinking, it can feel like an onslaught during the witching hour of your triggers. For me, I found it was easy to not drink during the day, but the moment 6 o'clock came along, or when I got in from work, well, that's when it started. And it could really feel like a battle. So here's why I don't recommend you rely on willpower. Well, it's simply because while it's incredibly valuable, it's a limited resource that can be depleted. I like to think of willpower as I would a bottle of water on a long walk if you're taking it miles from anywhere. Okay, the water bottle is full when I start out in the morning. But over the course of the day, I use it up a little sip here or there, or perhaps a longer drink during the heat of the midday when it's needed more. But however I allocate the water, in all likelihood, I'm not going to have as much at the end of the day as I did at the beginning. I'll probably have an empty bottle, in fact. And so it is with willpower. Although there are certainly ways to top it up as you would during the day, as you would top up a water bottle, you're just not going to have as much willpower at the end of the day as at the beginning. And like I said, relying on this is never going to be a good idea, because you could just be all out when you need your willpower the most. And to continue with my water bottle example, if I were to drink most of the water during the heat of the day, that is going to give me less resource to play with if, for instance, perhaps my walk turns out to last longer than I had anticipated. I'll go to the water bottle and it'll be empty. And so it can unfortunately be with willpower. By using it up during the day in hundreds of different ways, you're going to have none or little left in the tank at the end of the day. And when it comes to changing your habits around alcohol, this is the exact time when most people have the urge to drink and need it the most, need the willpower the most. So just remember that willpower is like a bottle of water, a limited resource, and learn to use it wisely. But how do we use up willpower? Well, numerous ways. A few examples: if you have a corporate job, you can have an email inbox, and that managing your email, it requires a million decisions. Do I answer? Do I forward? Do I delete? Do I, CC? Lots of willpower needed to keep that going. Interruptions. If you're constantly getting dranked from one topic to another during the day, that's going to take willpower. You use that willpower in the moment when you're not saying what you really think, right? For being ultra polite in certain situations. And if you start the day tired, you're not going to have as much to start with. So when do I recommend you use willpower? Well, it's incredibly useful for doing something you don't want to do, usually one-offs. Things like doing the accounts, you're going to need willpower for that. Holding your nerve during a tricky conversation, cleaning out that kitchen cabinet. But don't use it for habit change. Let me explain why. You don't need to use willpower for things that you want to do. when it's a part of your identity and a part of who you are. So for instance, I'm not a smoker. I don't need any willpower to not smoke. I identify as a runner. I don't need any willpower to go for a run. Well, not usually anyway. I'm not a drinker anymore. I now don't need any willpower to not drink. Because there was a time when I might have said, oh yes, I need lots of willpower to go out for a run or to not have a drink, right? When I was trying to become that person. But now as I choose to be a runner and I choose to not drink, it's part of my identity, it's just who I am. Willpower simply doesn't come into the question, because someone who doesn't drink doesn't spend any energy on thinking about drinking, much less how to resist having a drink. See how that works? Willpower is totally irrelevant to a non-drinker. It's totally irrelevant to me with drinking. Do you see the difference? How does that apply to you? And I tell you this, you're already going to have evidence of this. Look for it. It's valuable. So that's the reason not to rely on willpower. You can't struggle yourself into change, and you can't beat yourself into change. It's not going to be permanent, and it's not going to last. It's a bit like covering yourself with temporary sticking plasters. And this is what happens when people say, oh, I'm back to day one again, right? Because they've been using and relying on willpower to make and sustain the change, and that willpower's all run out. Remember, we only have a limited amount of it. So when it comes to drinking, how this looks is each evening, or when your triggers are, you're going to prepare yourself to fight against this desire. The urge to drink has come up and we've put up a hand against it. We're trying to resist it. We're pushing against it, and we're feeling deprived and we're feeling terrible, and all we want is relief. Maybe you can do that all evening. It's not comfortable, but maybe you can do it all evening. Maybe you can do this 10 days in a row. This is strong willpower at work. But this constant battle with yourself saps the energy over time. And then once it depletes, then we give in and drink. And then we've perpetuated the drinking again. We've perpetuated the fact that we give in and we drink. And now we feel worse than we ever did before. And then we say things like, I can't stop over drinking. It's not possible for me. I have no willpower and I'm weak. And you end up reinforcing your belief of something that you want to change, which makes it even harder to cut back in future. Now, whether you're trying to cut back on your drinking or trying to create something in your life, you can't do it with force, because you will buckle under the pressure. You will see this if you look into your past. You also can't do it with willpower, because that's against you. You're kind of trying to defeat your own mind with your mind. So what should you use instead? Well, the answer is to manage your mind. When you manage your mind, you need less willpower. You need less self-control, because it's already built in. It's beautiful. When you choose to think about things in an intentional manner, you create the feelings that drive you towards the action you want to take. Instead of holding yourself off from action you don't want to take, you're propelling yourself to take action that you do want to take, that will lead you to your desired results. And it happens automatically without a struggle, and there's no resistance, and there's no gritting your teeth or no white knuckling it. There's no forcing yourself to push for the result you want, because your thoughts and your feelings and your actions are all working as one in a natural way. I capture this in the framework I use with my clients for how to live a life with intention, courage, and persistence. Now, doing it this way means you become the person you want to be while you are making the changes. Before I jump off here, I hope this message has resonated with you. And if it has, and you want to learn more about working with a coach, about using and managing your mind, message me and we can definitely get on a call and chat. Now, I know 100% that if this message has resonated with you, I can for sure help you. So if that's you, message me. And why that's so valuable? What I'm going to do is we're going to have a 60-minute consult, and I'll talk about this with anyone who's interested in stopping over drinking. And you're going to want to get on that call, because on it we're going to figure out all the things you've tried in the past that you're doing now or that you've tried, and we're going to work out why they're not working. I'm going to tell you why they're not working. And that's the most important thing you could ever learn, why something isn't working. Because once your brain understands it, it's never going to want to push you into doing that again. And it's not just enough to know why something's not working. You're going to need to know what to do in the future. You need to know what to do instead. So over those 60 minutes, we're going to build up a plan for you, and we're going to build up a plan for you to stop over drinking in a way that makes sense for you. We're going to figure out why it's not working now, like I said, and then what you need to do to get started and get it working. I'm going to give you the entire foundation of what you actually need to do to drink less. It's so cool. And it's going to be super, super simple, I promise you. Now, it may not be easy, but I'm also going to tell you how easy it can be to stop over drinking, to have that as part of your identity, not needing willpower when you have the support. And you're going to be able to experience that with me on the call. So if you're interested in stopping over drinking, if this has been something that's been kind of nagging at you and you don't feel great about how much you drink, and you certainly don't like the way it makes you feel and behave, all the time you're thinking, I don't know how to cut back, well, you deserve to have a better experience of life. You certainly do. And we can start changing things around. This is the coolest bit, in just 1 hour. So listen, I know it could seem like, yeah, you know, I really want to stop drinking. I want to do it after the summer, or I do it on because I really want to go on holiday and I want to be able to drink on holiday and I don't have time. Listen, what would you say if you could get results immediately? What if you could just start not drinking so much this week? I just want you to pause and really think about that. Most people, well, the reason they don't sign up with me and they don't do a consult and figure out what it would take is because they think it's going to take a long time and they're not going to get results. It's going to be this whole process. And of course you don't look forward to it. It sounds awful if you're going to need months and months and months, and it's going to be really hard work and very complicated, and you know, you might not get results, or you're going to have to work really hard. I get it. I wouldn't want that either. But what if it were actually possible that you would start feeling better, drinking less and seeing results right away just from one call? How excited would you be to sign up with me right now? Well, let's not wait. You really could start getting those results this week. 6 o'clock is going to roll around and you could start drinking your drinking habits this week. Change those habits. So send me a message. I'll get back to you and we'll figure out some times to work together. Super simple. We'll just jump on the call and get started. You can reach me on anna@90dayslater.co.